Hey, good people. We are excited to be here with you today. I am Maisha Howze.
And I'm Tanika S, and we can't wait to dive into our life's work with all of you.
Our topic today is renewing communities is heart work. Now let me tell you, this is not just a topic, this is our passion, our purpose, and our driving force.
We firmly believe that the heart has the power to transform communities, and we want to share a bit of our journey with all of you.
So fasten your seatbelts as we are about to embark on an exciting adventure of love, community, and compassion.
So it's important to think about what renewal really is. So I first want to start off by defining renewal. Renewal is the replacement or repair of something that is worn down, worn out, or broken. And I'm sure we've all faced some communities that have been run down due to adversity or challenges.
Absolutely. We've all seen communities in need of renewal, where hope seems distant and dreams have faded. But today, we are here to share a journey about how we have found a way to infuse new life into such communities.
So to explore this concept, we need to think about what community is. Community comes in different forms. We have various types, but today we're going to focus on 3 types of community. We have community of place, which is your geographical location. Community of interest, where you have a shared belief. And community of action, when you're connected by a shared cause.
Yes, and these are the threads that weave the tapestry of our lives, and they are as unique as the people who inhabit them.
So we're going to start with community of place. This is where you share birthdays, you celebrate birthdays, you share stories at backyard barbecues, and sometimes you weather a few storms. So my community of place began here. Garfield Heights Housing Projects, 5000 Shenley Avenue to be exact. That's where my roots began. So I lived in a 3-story townhome project, which you'll see here, and the front yard was an enclosed metal fence, and there were small metal chains that lined up the walkway to get into our cluster of 4 homes. My backyard, it consisted of sets of metal poles where the residents could tie rope from one end to the other, which we used as clotheslines to hang our wet laundry. My community of place also included my backyard, where I learned how to ride a bike, not well, but I learned how to ride a bike. I watched my neighbor's flowers bloom every spring in her walkway. And I literally ran for my life because a neighbor's German Shepherd got loose, and I am to this day still afraid of dogs. My community of place also included going to that high-rise right there. That high-rise is where my mom and my sisters sometimes would go and to stand in line to get free food. And they would give us essential, non-perishable items, but the most important thing was the cheese and butter. And if you know, you know. That cheese and butter, those were the secret ingredients to the best grilled cheese you have ever had in your entire life. And that's another story for another time. But what made this so special is I had no idea I was poor until somebody else told me. So my community of place also included Macedonia Baptist Church in the historic Hill District, where I learned how to speak in front of many rooms of people, hundreds in fact. I also saw people who looked like me operate in leadership roles. I created such great community there. I also encountered incredible human beings, some of who I call best friend. My community of place, it changed a few times, but at Macedonia, that's where my mother and I were able to stay grounded in our faith. My senior year of high school, I became pregnant. I had a child, a daughter, Jasmine, and it just so happens also in that same time frame, my mother and I got evicted due to non-payment of rent, which was $92 a month. My community of place changed again. My daughter and I moved in with my sister and her 2 younger children. But what I want you to understand is that no matter how many times my community of place changed, my community of interest remained consistent.
Thank you. Community of interest. What's in a name? On May 6th, 1973, a beautiful baby girl was born. Me. Yeah. And most of you have come to learn how important that day is to me because I've taken the liberty of naming the entire month Maisha. But that's a story for another time. At 17, my mother was preparing to give birth to her firstborn. On May 5th, she began experiencing preeclampsia and was rushed to the hospital. Now, everyone thought that I would be born on May 5th, but I wasn't ready, so I took my time, right? Mm-hmm. The morning of May 6th, my mother was in active labor, and by the afternoon, baby Howze was born. So the room was filled with oohing and awing, that's my vision, and I'm certain a bunch of crying. As the nurse made her way into the room, she came to my mother's bedside, and she said, "Miss Howze, congratulations, what will you be naming your daughter?" My mother looked straight ahead and said, "I have to wait for my uncle." The nurse didn't understand, but my family understood. The nurse respectfully said, "Okay," and she left the room. May 7th, baby Howze is resting in the room with my mother. The nurse comes in. She begins a little bit of small talk, but her true interest is, what will be my name? She approaches my mother's bed, and she has a little bit of conversation, and then she says, again, "Miss Howze, what will you be naming your daughter?" My mother again said, "I have to wait for my uncle." The nurse said, "Well, there's paperwork that needs to be completed. We have to get information filled out, and we need your daughter's name." My mother continued to look straight ahead, and the nurse left the room. May 8th, baby Howze is resting in the nursery. The charge nurse comes in. "Miss Howze, we need your daughter's name. There is paperwork that needs to be completed, and we need to know what your daughter's name will." And as my mother was about to say, "I have to wait for my uncle," in walks Saluddin. My mother introduced him to the nurse, and the nurse hurriedly went to the nursery to retrieve me and bring me back, handed me to my uncle, because listen, this was her moment. This is what she's been waiting for. Mm-hmm. Handed me to my uncle. After a couple of minutes, he said, "Maisha Mweusi." He looked at my mother agreed, and Maisha Mweusi was ready for the world. Community of interest. What the hospital staff did not realize is that my uncle, Saluddin, a warrior, a historian, a civil rights leader, a fighter for our people, intentionally created and fostered a community of interest, mm-hmm. where my generation followed a generation of elders that intentionally adopted African names and then ensured that my generation was given African names at birth. This was done so that as the community grew, there was strength that we carried through our names, that we were proud of who we are. Many people say that the meaning of your name defines who you are and how you enter a space. Well, in Swahili, my first name, Maisha, means life, and my middle name, Mweusi, means black. I have been intentional about carrying the legacy of my community of interest through my name. In my community, I have found my tribe, the people I share my dreams with, and together we journey towards our common goals.
That's good. Finally, we come to community of action. Now this one here, this is special, so give us some time. So we all find ourselves very intimately involved in all the different types of communities, but this one here is where Maisha and I have found our collective journey.
Yeah, Our love for our community of action pushes us to renew, uplift, and inspire. Tanika and I have the privilege of serving in our beloved sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Our sorority's motto is community conscious and action oriented. Right. What does it mean to be community conscious and action oriented? Well, that means not only being aware of the communities that you serve, but being intentional about how you engage with, how you support, and how your presence impacts that community. So let's all strive to be more community conscious and action oriented in our daily lives to create a better world around us.
Do you see yourself in any of these stories? I'm sure you find communities in different types. But the most important thing to remember is that the intersection of renewal and community, baby, that's where the magic happens.
That's right.
See, our dreams pull us away, but it's the heartstrings of our communities that bring us right back. It's the ebbs and the flows of our community ties that it makes renewal possible.
We've been drawn away by our dreams, but it's the heartbeat of the community that continuously pulls us back. Now, it's not always about seeing immediate progress, but it is the driving force of empathy and compassion.
So let us be the ones who renew our communities through hard work. We can truly change the world by making sure that every community begins to be a thriving garden of hope. Well, we wouldn't be us if we didn't give you a call to action. So we're giving you a call to action,
That's right.
A challenge for everyone in this room.
So we've shared our journey about the hard work and the power thereof. But now it is time for you to reflect on your individual community, your individual responsibilities in creating your own community, your own thriving garden of hope.
Each one of us plays a role, and it's vital to our communities being restored and renewed. It's not just about us, it's about all of us.
That's right. Take a moment to think about your community, your place, your interests, and your potential for action. Doing the hard work is about impactful, compassionate, and working with your community to thrive and move forward.
So we're going to give you 3 steps in making sure that you take action in doing the hard work. The first, empathize and connect. Begin by deeply understanding the needs, the challenges, and the aspirations of the community members. 2, take compassionate action. So you need to translate empathy into action and really be intentional about the needs of individuals. Volunteer your time, your skills, your resources, but do it with genuine concern and care. Last, inspire and empower. Oh, those who are leaders, please lead well. Yeah. Lead well.
Yeah.
Inspire the people to join in the efforts. Empower them to uplift what they need to do in order to be a driving force of change within the communities.
Absolutely. Ultimately, being heart-driven and doing the hard work is about seeing the inherent value and dignity in every individual and working together to create a brighter future for all.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Can you feel it? Can you feel the heartbeat of our communities?
Bringing it back to the heart is essential. Doing the work at the surface level, that's okay. But when you tap into the deepest reservoirs of a person's heart, that's a whole different level. It's about the empathy, the compassion, and the unwavering commitment, even when hope and progress seems distant.
So commit to doing good work, even though you may not see the benefits of your labor. So Gandhi says we may not live to see the results of our actions, but that does not mean not to act.
That's right.
And this quote is important because it focuses us on the long-term impacts and not seeking immediate gratification.
That's right. So together, let's be the change makers, the dreamers, and the heart-driven leaders that our communities need.
Join us in the symphony of souls, and let's renew our communities through hard work. There's enough love to go around.